all have storms in our lives that cleanse, clear, and convert the aftermath into a rainbow. If you have the right attitude, you can grow and weather the storm. Let's talk about it now over lunch with Stormy.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Lunch with Stormy. And I want to start off by saying just thank you to all the fabulous listeners and the social media love that I've been receiving. It's so appreciated, and I love it. Thank you so much for your support. We have an extraordinary guest today, and he's a man that he's so great. I'm brought him back twice. I love his wisdom. If you haven't heard the first episode from a few weeks ago, you should definitely go listen to it. It's a privilege to welcome back Dr. Mathew Knowles to the show. Dr. Knowles, just briefly, is a fascinating man. He's a visionary music executive, public speaker, author, professor, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and an artist manager. Also, the founder and CEO of Music World Entertainment, one of the world's leading music and entertainment conglomerates. So I'm certain there's a lot to chew on for this lunch. So please help me welcome back Dr. Mathew Knowles.
Hey,
Pause.
Stormy.
How are you? It makes me so happy to see your face.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Yep.
Oh, good, good. How are you today?
I am doing all right. Getting ready for the holidays. Starting to lock in Utah where it's getting cold, and, deciding on this Thanksgiving question. The big question is, do you have Thanksgiving with your family or not?
Well, I think it's a life or death question for some people. Let's, put it in the right perspective here. Some people will make the wrong decision and it will kill them. Or some people will say, and have patience and say next year that we've gotten, I played sports. I played team sports all throughout high school, junior high, college. And it's not about we almost won a game. Who cares? I don't care. We don't even remember who almost won the game. We know who won the game, and we are only 2 months away from winning the game. Why do something stupid?
I agree with that. I'm lucky that my family is my pod, my brother, and we're pretty safe family out here. And we've elected to be in each other's pods and keep everybody else away. And so I know I get to spend it with my brother, which makes me happy.
And there's safe ways of doing this, in my opinion. Just recently, my in-laws came to visit us. And we have to not take this personally when family members say things like I'm about to say, which was, unfortunately, we have a policy at our home. Anyone that's going to spend the night, you have to be tested. And we need to see the results of the test. Nothing personal. It's just that I know of a story in Gaston, Alabama, a young boy that I grew up with. He's certainly a man now, but we live in a little small community in East Gaston, Alabama. And I got a call that he had a birthday party with just his family. And it was 12 people. His mother died, his wife died, and he died. And
What?
All of the family members came down with the coronavirus. So it behooves us all to understand that this is a very serious, I think now, even naysayers, I think now are beginning to understand that this is real, it's not political, it doesn't care what race you are or gender or even age. And it's multiplying so fast that if we don't get a handle on this, it won't be a pandemic, but an epidemic. And it'll be millions of people in America die because this thing is multiplying. Heard something the first 63 days to get to a million people. It took 63 days to get to a million people in America to test positive, and it took 4 days to get to a million last week. Um,
Wow.
so it's this thing is really getting, thankfully, gratefully, that there's a vaccination coming and coming soon, and I'm hopeful that we're able to manage it correctly.
Yeah, me too. It does feel, when we first entered into this pandemic, I think people took it really seriously and they started getting burnout a little bit and throughout the summertime. And I wish that there had been a more heavy handed nationwide influence or message versus state by the state by the state, because not having one leader that said one message but 50 leaders with different messages, I feel like could have put us in the place that we are now.
Well, you were taking, the word I use more than ever. Somebody made me laugh yesterday. They said PR. I was like, man, we don't use the word PR anymore. That's old school. We use messaging. We are in a time that we message in our messaging. And you're absolutely right, Stormy. The messaging that we got was all over the place. And we didn't know when you should go outside, wear a mask, wash your hands, should you, you know, we didn't have all the correct messaging. And thankfully that is getting better. But why take a risk if you don't have to? And this is all about discipline. Um, let's face it, some people are more disciplined than others.
Yes.
And this is a time where we have to be disciplined and use technology. Look, we are here miles apart, and it's like you're right here, and hell, I could have my meal right now in my hand, and you could have yours, and we can have a dinner together.
That's right. That's right. And I think it's a super important message because it does get tempting. It is melancholy. People who live alone, there's a lot of mental health issues that may come up, but I think we're almost there. We can see the light. We've been in the tunnel. It's so close and
Yeah.
it looks really promising. So if we can make it through this holiday season, everybody can have a bang up 2020.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, first of all, we have to have accountability here, and we have to hold ourselves accountable. We would be past this thing. It wouldn't be over, but the heartache could be way past us. We could have got past this in May, April, May. And some countries did. I look all the time and I see, look, the country that our current president, the whole continent, our president actually called it a country when in fact it was a continent. But that shithole continent that he called a country, they are doing pretty good with coronavirus, and because they're more disciplined,
Right. Yep.
than we are, and they use technology and messaging. These supposed to be rural people, on with the animals. That's how we look at it. But they might have some smarter information than we have. I hear that if you go to some countries in Africa and go to the airport, they have robots running around cautioning everybody to wash their hand, wear a mask, safe distancing. It's just that you said it right, our leadership was not unified at all,
Yeah.
or at all. And so that's one of the reasons we're all over the place.
What are you? So let's talk about so you've got things coming up in 2021 that will maybe prevent you from ever coming on my show. So I wanted to get you before your next wave hits. But last time we spoke, it was right during the election, and the results, who knows to say today? Like, I think there's a clear winner. But when we talk about the COVID messaging and then the things that are happening in the transition between the president and the president-elect, I don't know if I should go get popcorn and enjoy what I'm watching, or when you step back and really think about what's happening right now. It's not funny.
Yeah. I'm still waiting on getting, 14 years as a college professor. I like to have facts and information. I haven't gotten all of the statistical data because I'm anxious to see in terms of age, in terms of race, gender. I'm curious to see what those numbers are. But the one number I am hearing and confirming is that 57% of white America voted for our current president. And I'll just say it. You know me, Stormy. I just keep it real.
Yeah. Well, the numbers will be what they are.
I have friends that, and I don't know, I'm hesitating because I don't know if I can call them friends anymore. I have people who voted for the current president, not the president-elect. And I just find it hard when you can look at all the platforms that we're running for, economic platform, health and wellness platform. I can look at that, but none of them can take away from the number one platform, which is race. So for me, if you voted for a person who I view as racist, it doesn't matter about the other reasons. You voted for a racist, thus I can't be your friend anymore.
Oh, that makes total sense to me, by the way. I think that that's what a lot of, even as a white person, I agree with you 100%. And I too have lost friends and very differing opinions there, and somewhat disturbing at times. But what do you think about someone like, and I can't remember the other hip hop artists, but like Kanye West, who has been so supportive of our current president? And how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to live with himself with those decisions.
But what is he seeing differently than me, a white person who, hasn't experienced as much as someone of color as far as injustices by any means?
Yeah, I think, Kanye is an example that he has some more serious issues happening to him than just aligning himself with the current president. I think there's some more deeply seated things that he's got to work on within himself.
I think that's probably right, and maybe an unfair example.
We use somebody else, but with him, I think there's more going on.
You're right. That's not a good example, actually. There was a recent rapper that just came out, and I can't remember his name, but let's say a person of color who says that, they don't have to be famous, but that says that, this just is a comical statement to me, but that Trump has done just as much, if not more, than Abraham Lincoln, which is a disgusting thing for him to say, in my opinion. But someone that agrees with that, I was surprised when these guys came out in the last few weeks of the election in support of him.
Okay, so Stormy, good question. I'm going to ask you one to answer your question. So obviously, your father.
Yep.
Did you ever meet your grandfather?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever meet your great grandfather?
No.
Okay. So think about this. I'm older, so it would have been your great great grandfather, but I met my grandfather. But my great grandfather, who I can imagine because I met my grandfather, his dad was born a slave. So most Americans are thinking this was like 500 years ago when slavery ended.
Right. It wasn't. It was just a generation.
And so why are we surprised? See, the fact is that
Got it.
every college student, it should actually be every high school student, but I think maybe college you have a little more perspective, you're older. But I think every freshman in college should take a course on race. There's two courses I think every student in their freshman year should take. One is on race and one is on entrepreneurship. And the reason why on race is because we don't know our history. We don't know what happened with slavery and how it happened and how these black people from Africa got beaten, got hung, our women got raped anytime that a white man wanted to, that a black man was hated by the slave master and his linchpin. You know, they had foremen all day with a gun on horses, all day hanging people. If a black man looked at him wrong or answered him wrong, he got beaten mercifully, tied to a tree, or we don't understand that. And we don't understand why white men have this anger towards black men. And yes, some of it's towards black women, but there's another type of anger, a white man to a black man that's subconscious in some cases, that has been from generations, and not many, embedded inside. And we don't understand that still in America. We
And
don't.
that's where, do you think that those folks that support Trump, that that perhaps their fathers didn't, had missed? There's no way they missed it. There's just no way that they missed the past 50 years. It's just impossible.
It's this is not just a white thing. It's black people that miss the history of slavery. So this is not just black people. It's black, brown, and black. We don't really know. I mean, I teach a class called the Emancipation of Slaves through music this semester. It's by far, and I've taught 14 years, 28 semesters. I probably have lectured at another 50 schools around the world. This has been one of the most rewarding classes for me as a college professor, to really dig deep into the emancipation of slaves, not only through music, but through all of our culture. Music was just the root of it, but food, art, fashion, all of that was stolen from us as black people. All of that was stolen. Everything from genres of music was stolen. Everything from the canteen, which was the instrument banjo that was created in Africa, and xylophone and flutes, and it was all stolen from us. Some of the foods that we eat, as these slaves were given the leftover, the part of a cow a hog they didn't want to eat, they were created. They turned these into delicacies. When they looked at fashions, and how in the hood, as we call it, women would walk on the back of their shoes. Well, they turned that into there was a fashion designer that made his living in going through the projects of America, stealing culture and making it his own. Like, we don't know the history to say that some of these monuments should have been up there is ridiculous. Of someone who supported beating a man or woman all day, who supported raping a woman at any time. How could you do that and be human?
Yeah.
What that?
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100% on that. It's so hard to tell our history truthfully, um, period, right? It's so hard in our country to tell our history truthfully. It feels like, you know, and I think we talked about this. You have to kind of own it and acknowledge it. All of us, me, like the white person, and acknowledge our part in it and how that happened and but we have to educate people. We can't keep it.
But first, though, before we can acknowledge it, we have to know what happened.
Exactly.
See, his story, HISSTORY, his story. See, it's been someone who told this story from their perspective of domination, not of truth. So we have to be careful of reading history and question who wrote this and what were their objectives when they wrote this or presented this. There's no monuments. Should we have a monument of the Black woman who sat on the bus in Montgomery, Alabama for the first time and stimulated the whole desegregation movement? Where's there a monument of her? I mean, there's a whole lot of Black people who helped develop the telephone, that helped develop penicillin, that helped develop all sorts of products that never got credited for it.
Rosa Parks doesn't have a monument.
Exactly. Rosa Parks does not have a monument. And why is that?
Why is that? That is a really good question.
I can answer it for you.
I'd love to know.
Take one look at our U.S. Senate, at our United States senators. Take one look at it, and you'll see why. These are old, white, privileged men, majority.
Majority, yeah.
That great-grandfathers, because they're older than me, their great-grandfathers were slave masters.
Right. So they're not going to acknowledge Rosa.
I mean, that's, I mean, we need to stop hitting around and take the elephant out of the room. And the more and more we do these type of exchanges, Stormy, the more and more we'll see change in America. I do believe, however, on a positive note, I do believe that when we said, 57% of the all whites voted for our current president, I actually think that's improvement.
Is it?
I actually think that, that would have been improvement from 4 years ago. I think the number was bigger than 57%. And I think it's improving where 4 years from now, it'd be less than 50%. And then 8 years from now, it'll be in the 40s.
Right.
Because I think young people and people your age, I put you in young.
Thank you.
I'm 68 years old, soon to be 69 in a couple of months. The young generation, one mistake that was made, several was made, but that ounce of Black blood makes you Black is going to come back to hunt these old white men. Our numbers when you said an ounce of Black blood and you Black. Well, thank you for that. Thank you.
That's right.
Populations and brown populations are increasing while white population are decreasing.
Yes.
Do with some arrogance and privilege. Well, yeah, you got an ounce of Black blood, you're going to be Black. Thank you again for that.
Yes. Yeah, I think so too. I think 2042, isn't it? 2042 is the year where it becomes more mixed. Like
they're saying 25 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
25 years, it's 2040 something. You're right. I mean, it's going to be, look, I got young nieces and nephews and grandkids, and these kids today, is odd. The black kids talk white, the white kids act black. It's like it's a melting pot now because they grew up best of friends.
That's right.
They don't see color like we saw color. See, most of us saw color when we were around 8, 9 years old, then 10, then we start hearing negative racial things. These kids growing up in elementary, I mean, in, in grade one, and they don't see color. They're best of friends. They listen to rap music,
We're
they
not teaching them anymore. Like they're
yeah.
not taught that there's anything different, which is so beautiful.
Well, there is a difference, and that's where we're wrong. See,
Hmm.
there's a difference in black culture and white culture. And I was sharing just the other day. I mean, I just had just almost not every day, but a lot of days. The way that if you gave a problem and you gave it to a white person and a black person, I assure you, many of the times, the way that a black person approach a problem is different. See, we don't believe that we have to have all the pieces in place to get started. I'm just using that as one example. And I just literally doing some renovations, and the guy over it said, I need to get all of the parts, the refrigerator and stoves, and then we can start on the cabinetry. And I'm like, well, why can't we start on the cabinetry and then get that done? And then at the same time, the refrigerator and stove is coming. And I just use that seems like a very simple example, but culturally we're different. Culturally, when I listen to music, the beat of the rhythm of the music, I hear it different than most white people hear it. Most black people hear that different, that rhythm.
Right.
When it comes to spirituality, most black people view spirituality different, and that's okay.
Yes.
It's not a wrong or right, and I think that's one of the things we have done wrong is we're trying to make it where we're not different, where in fact we are. We should not want to be unified in America. We should want to have harmony in America.
Yes.
That's when you encourage and celebrate the differences and understand the differences rather than saying, you got to be like me for it to be right. That's privilege.
Yeah. And not healthy. Not healthy at all. I love your wisdom. Like it's part of what I just could talk to you for days about. You're just wise, and the way you see things is so practical. It's like the refrigerator cabinet example, it's so practical, but it's very, very deep. And last we spoke, you had inspired me because you had just gone back to Harvard or done some more education, your long list.
You're going to school. You're going to school. You're going to take a class.
So I signed up for something. Thank you. It's a 10-week course, and it's offered by Yale, and it's called The Science of Well-Being.
I am so proud of you.
Thank you. Well, I'm appreciative of you because it's because of you. It started yesterday. So I was like, okay, at least I got it started before I spoke with Mr. Knowles again.
Great. That is so wonderful. That makes my day.
Thank you. You're the first person I've told, actually. I saved it for you.
Thank you. That is so, so wonderful. And you were just struggling with making that first step, and you did it. You made the first step.
And it was you.
And that's great. And I'm just glad you made that first step. And that's what we have to do in America. We have to make that first step to bring back the unity here.
Yes.
I'm finding out, I'm learning a whole lot of places. We live in 2 cities for security reasons. I don't like giving that up, but you learn where I notice the sun is going down, and so I have to learn at a certain time. I have to change my lighting. So we have about 15 minutes before I'm gonna.
It's gonna get all dark in there.
You're not gonna be able to see me.
Right. It's what, 4 o'clock? It's dark by 4 now. It's so crazy. So the other thing I did was look at your class that you're teaching from Houston. Is that right?
Yeah, University of Houston. Yeah.
The the music industry and digital age. And I would have signed up for that class, but it doesn't start until January 25th, I think.
Yeah, you got it. So
And it's a 15-week course, just so everybody knows, but it looks really good.
15-week course, and it's for everyone. It was really important to me that, there's certain topics um, that you don't really have to go to college for. I share this. That's the beauty of doing online education. It's to get knowledge. And sometimes you just need to take something that you're passionate about or that's specific to what you want to do. This is specific for someone that wants to be in the music industry in any type of way. Uh, and I wanted to, and I taught this course before at another university, but not with the digital age, because it's changed now as we've gone from CD to streaming and other formats to come in the future. Uh, but the sadness about it, Stormy, is that a lot of people want to be in the industry, or they want to be artists, but they don't want to pay the price that it takes to be it. And the price really is knowledge. And you can either pay the fiddler, which is the music industry now, or you can pay us way, way more later in time and in money. Because I know many people that's been trying to do this and trying to do this. I hope they stop trying and do something else because they're not going to get in. They don't want to make the commitment. I've heard people say, I'm not paying $3,000 to take a course. Well, you're right. You're going to end up spending maybe 20 before you quit. And
That's a good point.
you're going to spend probably 20,000 and about five years of wasted life, and then you'll figure out you can't do it. And so I don't want you to take the course. I want you to get the hell out of the industry. You're wasting time and hours.
Right. Well, in this course, when you talk about that, like your experience, not only in music, but television production, just entrepreneurialism as a whole, and folks can hear that on the other episode, um, because that's where you were born, right? Total entrepreneurial family. You applied it to music and entertainment and had, great success. But to get that, your knowledge in 15 weeks, people should remember too that you wrote a book, public relations and strategy. What was it?
Relations in a digital age.
In a digital age. So that's got to come into it too. It's just got to be so much information in this 15-week course.
Day of Achievers, 10 traits of that will come in. But more importantly, I'll have guests on pretty much every class. I'll Zoom. That's the beauty of Zoom. I'll have a guest, a named guest, presidents of some record label or some artist manager or some entertainment attorney. I'll have guests that will come in and talk to us and the questions and answers. That's invaluable. How you
It really is.
This business is through experience. This is not just book knowledge. This is learning our mistakes. Like I probably have made $1 million in mistakes, or maybe even more. So that 20,000 you're gonna waste, you're gonna get to hear me share the millions that I wasted, and I consider myself pretty good at this.
Right.
And I still have to learn, and I still have to transition with the industry. And so that's what this is about. But my sadness for it all is really the people that think that they can just walk into this music industry and entertainment industry, and it's going to be microwave success, and there's no price of entry, which is ridiculous. There is a price of entry. I had to learn it. I went back to school. I went to seminars. I never really thought about it, but I probably spent about $10,000 to $15,000 in seminars.
That's a college education too.
Yeah. And there's some people right now, Jimmy Iovine of the Beats and was at Interscope. I would pay today to listen to Jimmy Iovine talk and to give me his knowledge, and that's what it's all about. So I get so sad when people like, man, that costs too much.
Right. It doesn't. Not when you think of your background. And so I plan to do it actually. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to go into the music industry, but I have had a really good idea about it. And you're right. I went to a few big names, company names, not artist names, and kind of pitched it. And I don't know if they just took my idea and started doing it themselves because it's been a few years.
Let me share something with you. And I talked about this. This is my 5th Zoom call today.
Oh, wow.
You know, I've been in the beauty industry for 17 years. Me and my former wife and friend, Tina, we had a hair salon, and it was highly successful. In corporate America, I was grateful to have been highly successful. We had a clothing line, as you know, House of Darion, and the Miss Tina line that we sold for millions of dollars that was highly successful. The music industry, I think people know. And now in the speaking and author. The point I make is I've been in multiple industries. My passion has never changed. That's to educate and to motivate people. Industries change, but the fundamentals are the same. That's what people don't understand. If you understand the fundamentals of business, then you can be in the music industry. You got to learn the nuances of the industry. I see my wife over there. Y'all see?
Hi.
You guys want to say hi? Everybody.
Get over here. Nice to meet you. Your house is beautiful.
This is Stormy.
She's like, I got to go back. I love that.
Out of the corner of the eye, trying to slip out.
She was all up against the wall.
Hiding on the wall. But I'm so happy. But that's what people forget is to get, and that's what we do also in this class is teach us fundamentals of entrepreneurship and business, and then the nuances of the music industry. But the approach is worldwide. The growing countries are Africa and India and China. We have to understand how Europe operates. It operates different. The approach, the beats per minute, even in a production, all aspects. If you're going to be in this, you have to be in it for the world, not just for America. We forget there's only 330 some odd million people in America. Well, I can go to Africa, it's 1.2 billion.
Right.
Like success is based on numbers. He who has the largest numbers sell the most.
Right.
That's just a fundamental thing. So, the approach to it is a change of headset. You probably got 5 minutes, Stormy. I'm kind of fading away.
That's okay. I'm so glad we were doing this. So I'll just ask a couple questions about 2021. So you've got your course coming up.
Yeah, and to take that course, and you can go to the University of Houston. I wish I knew I tell you an easier way. Go to my website, Mathew.
That's right. That's what I was just going to say. And it's Mathew with 1 T.
Mathew Knowles.
Important.
And then once you go on there, it's right there. You can go right in and enroll right there to the class.
That's how I found it. The pop-up comes up. You easily click it. It takes you right to it. So you've got that. You've got a podcast coming up.
Mathew Knowles Impact.
And so when we talked last time, and we didn't really hit on your podcast coming up, but you just did a perfect segue into it because you talked about your hair salon, talked about your clothing line. You've had all of these different titles, and entrepreneur's your umbrella, but you have truly had, and I love that about you because like my parents worked at the same job, both of them for 35 years. They had one career. They were both blue collar, but they kept that their whole lives. And that always made me a little nervous. Like I don't know, just wanted to do more. And you're a person that has done like truly different careers, 10 different times. So what is this podcast about? Is it?
When I break it down into 4 fundamental parts. It's going to be an hour. It starts the top of February. Um, and it's going to be about entrepreneurship will be one of those topics. I'll have a guest, and I've asked you, and I think you've agreed to be one of my.
I am a big yes. Don't you take me off your list.
Uh, and, and and so entrepreneurship is one. Race is another one. Health and wellness is another one, and music business. Those are the 4 basic conversations that we'll have. And you get a sense of my personality. I'm unapologetic, I'm real, I'm raw, it's uncensored. And we will have opportunity to have callers to call in, which I'm really excited. My first, we just had a call today. I want to have one of the one of the most raw, segregationist, racial white men we can find. I want to interview that person. I want
Yes.
to understand what makes them tick. And I want, I have a personality that this comes with being a college professor. I accept and I can listen to someone else give me their perspective. I've learned to appreciate listening to other perspectives. I've learned from listening to perspectives, and I can politely give you that opportunity. Then I'm going to cut your head off if you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Right. Well, I actually said to someone after our last talk, I said, that you're so, I mean, there's a wisdom there, but there's also a patience. Like we did talk about my history or the ancestors that I didn't know. And, you listened, and I'm sure, I don't know if I had micro, because I do worry about micro racism comments
Right.
that you may not even know you say as a white person. And I think that's been exposed a lot, at least for me in the past year, where you say something and you're like, oh my gosh, you got a good friend that'll call you on it. And you're like, oh my gosh, you're right. I never realized that. But I think you taught me that last time is you're just very patient and such a great listener that you should always be a professor and a teacher.
If you look at, in my opinion, the traits of leadership, one of them is holding people accountable, and also explaining the difference in responsibility and accountability. Most people don't have a clue what's the difference. But another trait is empathy, and another really trait of leadership is listening. Many times people that are leaders talking all of the time rather than listening and listening to the people around them. That's a real skill, listening. Xerox taught me that, and I will always give them credit. They taught us the power of listening, because most of the time we're doing one of 2 things, Stormy. We're either talking and we're not listening, but this is what happens a lot of time, is we're thinking while the other person is talking.
And can't wait for what to say next, right? People are just like, I got it.
We're not listening because we're thinking, like you said, what I'm going to say next. Or as I tell my students, there's a word that was said, our brain freezes. So if I said, gee, Stormy, when I look at your countenance, it really shows joy, peace, and happiness. Well, a lot of people that's watching this and listening right now, their brain froze on the word countenance. See, when a word is used that we don't know, our brain actually milliseconds freeze. And so we are not listening to the rest of it because our brain was like, what the hell countenance mean? Well,
What the hell does countenance mean?
It's like facial expression, aura. That's what countenance means. You look at a person, their aura, facial expression, that's their countenance. thing and so a lot of people would know and they would freeze up like, and so I've learned that if a person says a word I don't understand, I politely say and humble myself and say, I'm sorry, what does that mean? And I say it because I want to grow. So just like you just said, you could have not said that. You could have played on like you knew what the hell I was talking about.
Right.
I would have known, but you would have known.
My countenance might have showed it.
Yes. So, you know, that's what life has me today. I'm in such a wonderful place. You know, having the cancer really changed help mold even greater my perspective. Uh, you know, reconnecting years ago in a positive way with my kids and understanding what happened in our relationship with dad and daughters and understanding and respecting that and uh, living and loving my grandkids and seeing all the success that my family is having and in a wonderful, loving, best friend relationship with the lady that was trying to hug the wall that I've known now for 10 years. And, you know, health and wellness is at the top of the list because I realized that uh, without my health and wellness, I become a liability to people around me. And I really can't do the things that I really want to do. So I'm really focused. I'm proud. Hey, I've lost 25 pounds. So I'm proud of that. You know, I things that I put off, getting my two knees because I played basketball in my younger years very recklessly at some time.
Like a baller.
I'm paying for that now, and I want to be able to walk up those stairs with grace. Uh, you know, and there's things that I need to do health wise. You know, I share in my book, Racism from the Eyes of a Child, that it's been so many years, almost 20 years passed before I went to a dentist because my first experience was in Gaston, Alabama, of the dentist leaving me by myself in that room, in that chair with all that equipment at 11 years old and left me in that room what seemed like hours. I had my first anxiety attack. My mother was outside. They were almost threatening to call the police and not let them even see me. But those type of traumas, they affect us
Forever.
forever. And so those are the things I'm working on, the fears, the traumas that I've had in my life and sharing with people and being open about failures and successes and mistakes and helping others hopefully to grow and to be real about racism, which is our number one topic and in the same breath as coronavirus. You know, those are the things that we have to get under control if we're going to have a better America.
I completely agree. And the health and wellness, you know, it's not because you have been very blessed financially and you've worked for all of that, but people should understand that it's the healthy relationships that bring the health and wellness. Like your wife could be hugging any wall in any apartment, in any neighborhood, and you could be just as happy with her. Just because that's a beautiful wall doesn't make you know, it's not the wall that makes the relationship or makes you healthy. It's the people and just having those, you know, like we said in the beginning, I'm so grateful I get to spend Thanksgiving with my brother.
Well, Stormy, I ain't gonna lie, the damn wall does matter.
Okay, I mean it matters. But
don't matter.
but your healthy relationships matter more than that damn wall.
It matters more than that damn wall.
Yeah, it does. Like you wouldn't be so happy well, the wall would be great either way, but I think the woman hugging it probably makes it a little better.
But I'm going to show you something. Then we're gonna wrap up here.
Okay.
But that makes me happy.
Oh, that makes me happy too. I'm coming over.
Anyway, I'm going to have to run now.
Well, you are such a great guy. I'm so glad we met. I'm so glad you came back, and I'm looking forward to your class and your show.
All right. We'll talk soon.
All right, you have a good one, Matthew.
That you went to that class. I'm proud of you.
I'm going to check back. I'm going to email you when I've actually done it. I think I need to be held slightly accountable, but you got me started. That's a big deal. I appreciate you.
All right. Talk to you next time.
All right. Thanks, Matthew. And thanks everybody for listening. Please follow Lunch with Stormy on whatever platform you listen to your podcasts on. Be sure to follow Mathew Knowles, MathewKnowles.com. It's Matthew with one T. I want to thank him again for just being such an open and relatable guest. Despite all of his successes, he's still just a guy who can sit down and get lost in conversation with. My hour with this guy always goes so quickly. Be sure to find his podcast, Mathew Knowles Impact. It'll be out, I think he said, in early February. Give us a review, make it 5 stars. Those are our favorite kind. And most of all, stay safe and stay respectful. Much love, and we'll see you next week. Are we done?
All right, you're good.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. I know.
Stormy,
Yes.